Hello, Bible journaling friends. It's Jade again from theholymess.com. Thank you so much for your support of the Flourish Conference. I hope you get lots of ideas and inspiration from your All Access bundle. This video is Extreme Tip-ins. We're taking our tip-ins to the next level. We're building on the skills that we learned in the first video, so if you haven't checked out my tip-in video on the Flourish Conference, make sure you give that a view. Are you guys ready to get started? I'm so excited to create with you. Grab a cup of coffee and your Bible, and let's go.
For this first segment, I would like to show you ways you can use your tip-ins to enhance the artistic elements on your page. For this first example, in Matthew 1 and 2, when we have the Christmas story, I've used this tip-in that is shaped like a little present to pull together Jesus and the Christmas tree and the real reason for the season. In my next example, I have used this black circular tip-in to highlight the journaling that I did during the solar eclipse of 2017. So these are just a couple of ways that I've used tip-ins to add to the art that I was putting on the page. I'd love to do an example of that with you today. Now, before we get going, I do want to explain I am a teacher by nature. And so my goal isn't just to show you one specific page that you can replicate, but to really break down the different steps so that you are able to use your Bible journaling pages and these tips that I've given you together to take them to the next level. So if you want to design a page that looks like this, have at it. I hope you have lots of fun. But more than that, I hope that you learn some ideas and skills that you can bring into all of your different Bible journaling pages. So for this first example I would like to show you today, we are in Genesis 3, and we are going to be looking at the story of Adam and Eve when God walked through the garden and he said, "Where are you?" And Adam said, "I heard you and I was afraid because I was naked, and so I hid." And that was the moment when God knew that something had gone terribly wrong. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the tree as a tip-in to help work out Adam and Eve hiding from God. So I began this page by painting using acrylic paint and the paper towel method the top of my tree, just to speed things up a little. If you're interested in this method, there is a blog post at theholymess.com that you can check out that will give you a little bit more detail on how to do it. But for now, I wanted to speed things along. So my next step would be to take a piece of cardstock and put it down. And what I would do is I would continue the trunk of my tree onto my cardstock so that the trunk of the tree was on the top of the cardstock. And then when I flipped the cardstock over, it was blank on the back. That way your tree would look uniform. But for this teaching video, I just cut out a rough outline of a tree trunk so that you would get the idea, and I thought it would be a little bit easier for you guys to see the different elements. So the idea is that we have this tree that's in the Garden of Eden, and God comes in and he can't find man. And man says, "I hid." So when you tip up the trunk of the tree, Adam and Eve are hiding behind it. So our next element would need to be to add an Adam and Eve. Now you could add Adam and Eve by drawing them in, by painting them in. You could put stickers. You could print out a picture and glue it in. You could even use alphabet stickers and just write Adam and Eve. For the sake of keeping the video very, very PC, I have just printed out a very generic picture of Adam and Eve. If I were doing the page myself, I would probably choose something a little bit more historically accurate, but I wanted to make sure that nobody was upset. So I have just printed this picture out so that you can see how the different elements all go together. So the next step would be to attach Adam and Eve. And for this you could do, well, if they're drawn or painted in, you don't have to attach them. And if it's a sticker, you would just stick them in. But for my case, I'm going to use glue stick to glue them in. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the back, and then I'm going to put them down where the tree trunk should be. And then we are going to put our tree trunk over our Adam and Eve, so that for our finished page, we have our tree trunk, and then when we flip up, we have Adam and Eve hiding behind it. So for this type of tippin, you could use a washi, but I actually prefer a clear Scotch tape because I think it gives a more polished look to it. And I don't trust myself to line it up so well, so I'm going to bring it down and put the Scotch tape on, half on my tippin, half off my tippin, and then just line up where I would like it about, and then go ahead and stick it down. And if I have any tape left over, since I am on the edge, I will just tape it over. And then I'm going to put another little piece down at the bottom to make sure that it doesn't leave right here. There we go. So you have the tree. God is looking for Adam. Where are you? I'm here. I hid because I was naked. So again, this is for training purposes. You could do this type of page however pleased you. My goal was just to show you how to put the page itself together so that you could move forward. Another thing would be fun to do maybe a rainbow and a cloud where your cloud is the tippin, or maybe a blue sky with a tippin cloud, or a sun. Lots of different things where you paint on and then you add a tippin to add some artistic value to it. So I hope you find this first segment very helpful. And next we are going to be looking at multi-dimensional tippins. One thing I like about Bible journaling is there's always something new going on. There's no rules. The only thing we're limited by is our imagination and our creativity. This next section is what I call multi-dimensional tippins. Now that's not a technical term, it's just a word I made up to explain tippins that open in more than one direction. Just like extreme tippins is a word I made up to describe tippins that are a little bit fancier than your normal tippin. So this first example is a tippin that when you open it up, because of the way I put it in the middle of the page instead of on the outside edge, when you open it up, it allows you to see this extra piece underneath that looks kind of like a flower blooming. Another example of a tippin that opens in more than one direction is this one here in John 3:16. So layering regular paper and tracing paper, I actually have two tippins. One with the cross that tips up to show the verse on the back, and then the second piece that adds the nails and the amazing love on this one. So I'd love to show you another example of a multi-dimensional tippin. For this example, we are working in Matthew 26, which is the story of the Last Supper. And I'm going to focus on verse 28. This is my blood, which seals the new covenant between God and his people. It is poured out to forgive the sins of many. I have always been a big fan of stained glass windows. So when I found this image, I really wanted to put it into my Bible somewhere. So I decided to use a multi-dimensional tippin. So for these tippins, usually you're going to start with making a regular tippin. So I am going to take a piece of paper that I cut just slightly larger than my image, and I am going to glue the image to the middle of this paper using my glue stick. So now I have made a regular tippin. And if you'll notice, I took a moment to make sure that the verse that I have journaled on the back is upside down because I intend for this to be a flip up tip-in. And I had explained before, if you're going to flip it up, if you write the verse upside down, then it appears right side up when you're finished. So I began by making a regular tip-in. Now what I'm going to do is take it to the next level. I liked the idea of having this tip-in appear as a shuttered window that opens up to show the stained glass window. So I have taken 2 pieces of brown paper and I have cut them this almost the same size as the square. I have just made them so that they are a little bit shorter than the edge. And I am going to add these 2 pieces to the side using some just basic Scotch tape. I'm figuring out how much I like this Scotch tape, huh? So I'm going to put it about halfway on and halfway off. Not working with me today. But halfway on and halfway off. And then I'm going to line this up with the very edge of, excuse me, not with the very edge of my card, but I want it to be so that it's about in the middle. So let me put this back onto, you could use a little pencil to make a mark if you wanted to. It doesn't have to be exact, but I have saved about that much space. It's going to be close enough. So, and I'm going to just tape this on. And then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to tape it again. Now I have one side finished and I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. Now this one I need to be a little bit more careful about making sure that it lines up just so. Otherwise, you're not going to have the window book that I was hoping for. I'm going to line it up like that. And then put my tape on like this and fold it over. So I started by making a basic tip-in, and now I'm adding these 2 little extra pieces. So my next step, if I were doing this as a finished page, would probably be to add a little bit of detail, maybe some wood detail or cross hatches, so that they actually look like windows. But just for training purposes, I'm just going to go ahead and put just a couple of little lines here. So it kind of looks like little handles so that you get the idea of the look that I'm going for here. So I started with a regular tip-in and now I've added my sides and now I need to get it into my Bible. So once again, I'm going to just go ahead and use tape and I'm going to leave it on the words so that I still have space to journal. And I need to open up these sides so that I don't accidentally tape them shut. So I'm going to open up the sides, and then I'm going to use the Scotch tape, and again, excuse me, I'm going to put it on down here, and I made my Scotch tape a little bit big, so I'm actually just going to trim it a little bit here, and a little bit there so that I don't have to worry about those extra pieces. And then I'm going to tape it in right here like that. And then as you'll see, we have the shutters that open up for the window. And then now the whole thing will lift up so that we can read the words on the page and the Matthew verse on the other side. I could see a tip-in like this being a lot of fun for maybe windows or doors, to signify a house, perhaps after the rain comes the rainbow, if you had a rain cloud and then it opened up to reveal the rainbow beside. So I'm really looking forward to seeing some of the things you ladies come up with this particular example. And remember, at the Holy Mess Bible Journaling Facebook group, you can go and post all of your pages there so that we can see all of the cool things that people made with it. Next up, pop-ups. One of the coolest things I've seen hit the Bible journaling scene recently is pop-ups. Some of you might think I saved the best for last, but in truth, I saved the easiest for last. Pop-ups look super dramatic, but look, they can be just as easy as coloring a page from a coloring book, cutting it out, and taping it in. Here is an example of a pop-up that I made, running a piece of vellum through my printer and printing out the outline of a butterfly, and then just using marker to color it in. So for some of this video, I made some of my examples a little bit more simplistic to make things easier. But when it comes to pop-ups, I believe the simplistic ones are the ones that are the most dramatic. So for this pop-up, all I did was print out an outline of a cross and an outline of a heart. And today we're going to be working in John 15:13, which says, "Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends." So we're going to make a cross with a heart layered on top of it like this. And we're going to use a vellum for it. So my first step is to tape my heart to my cross. Oops, it slipped on me a little bit. You want to make sure that it's lined up as even as it can be. And we're going to use a piece of vellum today, but if you don't have vellum, tracing paper also works, as well as just plain paper would work too. Vellum definitely gives a very dramatic look. So the next step is to have an outline around the cross and the heart. I'm going to use just a Sharpie marker. Now, if the idea of freehanding with a Sharpie marker terrifies you, you can trace around it with a pencil first and then go over it with the Sharpie. But today, I'm just going to take a deep breath and I'm going to go for it. I like the big, broad lines that the Sharpie gives you. I think it creates a very dramatic look. And depending on how you draw your lines, you could have your heart on the top, or you could have the cross on the top. Not so bad, right? So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take the vellum off of my pattern, and I'm going to move my pattern to the side, and then I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to retrace the lines, because I think having the lines on both sides of the vellum make it a little bit more dramatic when you cut it out and you put it in. Now we're going to put some color to it. So I am using just Crayola markers that I borrowed from my daughter. I like that they have bold color, and the broad marker colors in very fast for the purpose of this video. You can use whatever markers you want, and you can make your coloring as intricate as you want. One of the things I love about this verse is it reminds me of that t-shirt slogan saying, I'm not sure where I saw it, on a poster or something, but a man was talking to Jesus and he asked how much he loved him. And Jesus said this much, and he opened up his arms and he died. And this verse just really makes me think of that. work with me here, ladies. I know that it's not perfect. We're just going with the general view of it. So I'm going to go ahead and do our cross. And if you wanted to have a smaller heart, then you could just cut out a picture of a smaller heart for your outline. Now you get to make a decision. You can decide to have your color be on one side, or you can turn it over and you can color the other side as well. If you color both sides will be full color. For my butterfly, I didn't color the other side because I liked the muted look of it. But it's just your personal preference whether you want to color both sides or whether you want to leave the underside just a little bit muted. So the next step is to take a pair of scissors and just cut it out. Now for the other videos, I did do a little bit of this art ahead of time, but for this one, I felt like it needed to be real time so that you guys could actually see that it really is this easy. You just take an image on vellum, color, cut, and our next step is going to be taping. Now one tip I can tell you is I find that pop-ups work best if your image is fairly symmetrical, which we have done here. And this is going to be our front, and we are going to hot dog fold it, as my kids would call it, so that the front, the right side, is on the inside. And then make a crease right down the middle. So try to just get it as middle as you can. We didn't measure, so we're just guesstimating here, just as close as possible. And if it was two-sided, if you colored it on both sides, just look at the side that you like the most and put that one on the top. So now here is our underside, and here is our top side. And we're going to open it up again, and we're going to move away from our handy-dandy Scotch tape, and we're going to move to a tape runner, because the tape runner allows you to put the double-sided tape so that you get sticky on both sides. And I'm going to run my tape runner just along either side. There we go. The clicking is a good thing. Every now and then I think I have the angle wrong, or it just doesn't like me. Okay, so now I have enough tape on there that I can show you as an example of how you're going to put this in. So you're going to open up your Bible to the page that you want it into, and you're going to fold it back on that crease and try not to stick your tip into yourself. And then you're going to put it into the crease of your Bible, and then I like to use this little bitty ruler for this, but you're going to put it into the crease of your Bible and line it up and just kind of squeeze it down in there so that it is in the crease like that. And then open it up so that you'll see when you close and then you open, you get this pop-up look to it. And that's as easy as it is, ladies. Isn't that fun? So I really enjoyed creating with you, ladies. Thank you so much for watching the video and for supporting the Flourish Conference. I'm really excited to see some of the things that you create with these ideas. And I'm really excited to see what's coming next for Bible journaling. I love Bible journaling. It feels like just a great big hug from God. And I pray this coming year that you guys get that same feeling.
Thank you again for your support of the Flourish Conference. I hope you enjoyed the video Extreme Tip-ins. I'm looking forward to seeing all of your fabulous tip-in pages at the Holy Mess Bible Journaling Facebook group. It has been an honor creating with you today. Thank you so much. Blessings and prayers for sanity.